what would you say is the would the claim be? What do you think the truth about selfishness or selflessness is about? And when I guess you're thinking in the context of the United States or what community level or like smaller scale, like the campus, or what scale are you thinking?
I definitely think more as like a larger whole. I think, you know, based on experiences I've had, I think it's a problem that, you know, ever since social media and more like modernized things have been created, everything's been turned inward, like intensely turned inward. Everything right now is about self-image, how other people
Right.
perceive you. It's all about how can I make myself fit in, right? How can I be a part of something that's bigger than myself, right?
Mm.
What is my purpose? It's a lot of things like that. And in actuality, a lot of the, reasoning of life or a lot of the purpose of life is really to not only do the opposite of that, because at the end of the day, it shouldn't be about you.
Mm. What do you think the problem is? If you could.
Yeah, I think the main issue is just the way people avoid the actual. All this stems from people avoiding their true problems and doing. Yeah,
Got hit.
that'll happen.
Yeah.
People avoid. I think a lot of it stems from people avoiding their actual problem, and instead focusing on what they're not doing wrong. Rather than and I'm guilty of this. Like if I do something wrong, and then instead of looking at my part, it'd be, how can I make this someone else's fault? And I think that's a huge issue in our society as a whole. You see it all the time. I mean, I'm not going to probably mention politically, but I mean, both parts.
You can describe politics.
Cool, because
both
both parties, like I'm Democratic, right?
Okay.
I believe in the Democratic Party. I'm very, I'm LGBTQ. I'm pro-choice. I'm all of those, right?
Right.
And, you know, politics nowadays, though, it's not even about those things as much anymore. If you saw the presidential debate, it was just two candidates attacking each other. It wasn't really even about what's good for the people, what's good for, the society as a whole. Like, how can we help people? It was just, how can I tear somebody down to make myself look better?
And you see in that debate a symptom of this larger problem that people are inward.
It's never about. It's always about what can I get out of it? What can I do? A lot of friendships I've had with people, like,
Thanks.
a lot of them have been focused around like, what can they do? Like a lot of people say like, what can this person do for me? What can this person actually like? What can I get out of this? Rather than sharing something with someone, because things like friendships are two people working together or getting along with one another, right? But there are ups and downs, there are things, and there's times when one person needs support from the other and then vice versa. And a lot of people nowadays, rather than walking through hard times together, trying to go through things, a lot of the time, if something inconveniences someone or makes them uncomfortable, they'll just stop.
So do you think there's been examples of societies either now or in the past that have not been so inward and have been more selfless?
I do think that there are quite a few examples. I think that, if you go back to, let's say, thousands of years ago, right? During ancient Greek, ancient Roman civilizations, a lot of those time periods, people were working together, building it up, trying to do what they could to make society better as a whole. It was less about, what can I get out of it? What can my friends get out of it? More of what can we do to provide?
Okay.
And also, at the essence of humanity, you ever help somebody and like afterwards you're like, wow, I feel better, right?
Right.
That's, I think, is the essence of our soul and our character. Helping other people can change our perspective so much. And at the same time, helping other people kind of gives us a purpose in it of itself. So like today's world, let's say I help somebody with homework, if I'm feeling down and sorry about myself, and I go, hey, someone needs help with this, and I go help them, I'll instantly feel better and realize that I'm doing something for other people rather than just sitting there and thinking about myself the whole time.
Right. And that's a better situation to be in, where you're in that selfless mode. Why?
Yeah, that's the deep question part of it. Why anything? I mean, I could approach it from that perspective, like why anything? Why do you do that? But I think depending on the person you are, it's different. You have a different belief about why we do it. I personally think that, everybody's connected. We're all people. We all have souls. We all care. We all love. We all hurt. And the fact is that when you help someone else, it takes the spotlight off of you. You don't have to think about what do you have going on in your life? What's hard about my life? What are the issues I'm dealing with? And instead, you can put those aside and be like, hey, let me do something good for somebody else. And I think that's the essence of humanity. It's coming together and working together when things aren't good to make them better.
So, where do you think that nature comes from? That benefit from working together, that cohesiveness?
I mean, one way to describe an example is that, thousands of years ago, we working together actually provided us ability to survive. I mean,
Okay.
when we were still living in caves, we had to work together to survive, like very primal, like animalistic things, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's bigger than that. I think that overall, that feeling we get is, again, it's the essence of humanity. It's who we are, right? If it's like how do you describe emotion, right? Technically, all we are is walking, a brain, right? Is our brain processing information? It's making emotions. It's doing everything for us, right? How do you describe love? Love, like some people say, is yes, it's something that makes you want to, get with somebody else to make a kid, right? Like the purpose of life. But a lot of people think it's so much more than that. It's all perspective based. I personally think it's much deeper. I think like your soul, it's who you are, trying to help and connect with other people. Like that's the essence of humanity. That's the essence of who you are, what you want to be.
When you say soul, is that, you said that's essence of humanity? Is that like a synonym?
Yeah. So
Okay.
think about you're married, right?
Yes.
Do you love them?
Yes.
When you think about how much you care about them, can you even describe how much that it means to you, or is it more of like you get a feeling that's so powerful you can't even depict it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be hard to put into words for
Right.
sure. Yeah, it is certainly more feelings based. Yeah.
Right. Where do you think those feelings come from?
I think I would go along with your description of like thousands of years of societal evolution, sort of, and that's I think that's kind of where I view those feelings as coming from. And yeah, it's certainly deep and internal. Um, yeah.
So when you die, do you think that what happens is when you pass on, do you think that love will stay? Do you think that love is supposed to be there? Or do you think it's just like whatever's in our lifetime, it's just over when it's over, right? Because I've had someone I care about pass away before. And when that happens, I still feel that care and I still feel them in their presence, right? And a lot of people may not believe in an afterlife or anything like that. And I'm not saying there is. I'm saying that it's so powerful that just describing it as like a purely animalistic survival instinct would undermine the value of it.
It feels like it's underselling
It's underselling how,
what it is. It's more meaningful than sheer like base nature, sort of.
right.
Okay. Yeah. So there feels like there's something deeper in the connections with people, and that selflessness. There we go again. That that selflessness that's building society is more than just what you might get from thousands of years of societal interactions.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
Cool.
I mean, the way I look at it is that our lives are so short in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the earth is billions of years old. We live for fractions of a millisecond in that
Right.
grand time scheme, right? At the end of the day, there's this really awesome quote. I forget who said it, but it's that people don't remember you for what you did. People remember you for the way you made them feel. And I think that that's exactly what I'm trying to encompass.
Okay.
How you treat others, how you care about others,
Right.
the way you interact with other people in your lifetime, that's going to determine the kind of character and person you are, and also determine the kind of overall like meaning of your life, right? how much you care, how much you want. It's not something that I can describe. It's not something I can like, oh, it was created this time, it was founded this time. Like, there's no
Right.
sole point where I can be like, yep, that's the reasoning. Pretty much everything in our life we don't have a reason for, or don't have an understanding of.
If there was someone else here who disagreed with you,
Right?
what do you think their argument would be?
I think a solid argument against it would be, like, our behavioral instincts of the past is the reason why we do things now. A lot of it's like evolution, things over time changing, that all the emotions and things you feel are honestly just more nature-based than anything else. And I think that's what most people would, or at least someone that would argue against what I was saying,
Yeah.
would go with. Something more that's just factually based, right?
Right.
And something more just headstrong argument that's just based on this, like based on a fact from the past or something that's happened, right? I think that's probably where people would go with. And I understand that point of view, and that's not even that I disagree with it. A lot of things can be explained by that.
Okay.
It's just that when you live your life, if you think about overall where we are, like, yeah, we're on a floating space rock. People say that, right?
Yeah.
At the essence of anything, that's crazy in and of itself.
Right.
That's insane, right? We're the only life forms in the entire universe we currently know of, right? So to think that everything's down to this just small, like factually based thing in the scheme and grandeur of everything we exist in is just, I think it'd be too simplistic. There's too much in our lives and in the universe that to just say it and explain it in a few different, like, evolutionary based things. I think it's too simplistic. It wouldn't make sense.
It feels like there's just too much that's remarkable about it,
Right.
about the universe, for that to be the simplistic explanation.
Right. I think there's too much going on. Like what you feel for your partner, how much you love them, right?
So how could we tell the difference? Like, do you think one of those positions would be incorrect? Like, you said you wouldn't necessarily disagree with it. And we've kind of shifted. I felt the claim from, originally we were talking about selfishness versus selflessness, and we were looking at, well, selflessness seems to be more beneficial for society. But then we got into this interesting question of where that came from,
Yeah.
and is it sort of naturalistic, if I could use that term.
Right.
And so then the question of, can we tell the difference between those two possibilities? How could we determine which is correct, or are they both correct, or is there some other explanation? Can they both be correct?
I mean, based on that, I think that it's honestly just opinionated at this point. It's like they both can be correct. My view of things are greater than, there's more to life than what meets the eye, right? There's so many things we're missing out on, so many deeper parts and emotions and connections that we make every day. And then there's that, and then we can also go and be like, oh, factually based, there's this that explains our behavior.
Right.
I don't think anything's innately wrong. I think everyone has an opinion of life and kind of how things work and how they're situated. But I mean, at the end of the day, how you live your life or how you want to think of your life is totally up to you.
Right.
It's basically like, how do I want to see the world or perceive the world? I personally want to perceive it as I have a greater purpose. There's a lot of things in life that are unexplainable. There's a lot in life that's amazing and incredible that can't be explained. And then if someone else wants to see it differently, then, I don't see why that would be anything. We don't, the essence of anything, we don't know that much.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much we don't know.
So much.
And different people can have different perceptions. Is there a shared reality where there's something true about, like, could one person's opinion be incorrect and another person's be correct for Maybe I should rephrase this question.
I know what you're getting at.
Okay. Go ahead.
Um,
You help me.
I think so. Yeah. I
Okay.
think honestly, there are probably points at which, I mean, I'm not saying I'm right about anything, right? There are points
Right.
at which if someone talks to me about something, I could be like, oh, you know what? I agree with that. I think
Yeah.
that, maybe I'm thinking too big. Maybe it is something that's, say simpler,
Right.
right? And that would change my mind. Or, vice versa. I definitely think that there are parts that are something that's like, okay, we can explain this. There are definitely parts we can.
Yeah.
Then there are parts that we can't.
Right. There's some subjective stuff and
Right.
some more objective
Right.
things.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think this was a great conversation. I don't have any other questions at this time. Did you have any questions for me or
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I do have one.
Yeah, dig in.
What do you think, given, our lifespan here, what do you think the purpose is? Or what do you think, like what would you describe it as? Basically, what is your version of this,
Yeah.
world?
Yeah, and I've noticed you've mentioned purpose a couple times
Purpose.
in our conversation, and when I think about that word, I kind of heard that you form a purpose or feel a purpose, and I think that individuals can find their own purpose,
Yeah.
and it's maybe you form it yourself. I think I don't think that there's necessarily an external purpose that's directing things, but I think that but I think you can create your own purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Cool.
got anything else.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
That was awesome, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll hopefully get it posted. Sometimes it takes a while for doing editing and
No
things like
worries.
that, but yeah, you got the QR code. So
Yeah, dude,
thanks.
that's
and
awesome.
Come by anytime if you think of anything else or
Yeah,
send people
man.
over. My name's Brendan, by the way.
Ethan.
Is Ethan?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. All right.
Nice
Thanks
to
so
meet you,
much.
man.